Hey, everybody. Welcome to another grad interview. Tonight we are interviewing grad Amy Smith. And I'm not going to lie, this is an interview I have been waiting for. Amy, I have been dying to talk to you because I know that you have experience in food photography coming into Pretty Focused. And we have a lot of people who are interested in Pretty Focused who are in similar situations and they want to know why I need to still join. Why can't I have access to the buyers club? Why can't I just buy my way in? And so I'm really excited for you to speak to that tonight and share your story and your journey. And can you just start off and tell us a little bit about yourself and what you did before Pretty Focused?
Sure. First of all, thank you, ladies, for having me. I think we started this process in November.
Yes.
Talking about doing this interview, and hopefully, knock on wood, my internet stays good tonight. There's no national football games or anything, so our bandwidth should stay decent. So anyway, I'm super excited that this finally could work out. A little bit about me: I am a stay-at-home mom. I've been a stay-at-home mom since my kids started school, or basically since I had kids. Before then, I was a school teacher. And
Samesies. Okay.
What's that?
I said samesies. I was a teacher too, so I love that.
And so I did that for a number of years, had my kids. I was able to stay home. I did substitute teaching when they were school aged. I went in long story, that's the best way to get your kids known and acclimated in a school is to be a part of the school. So that was a great big part of my life for a long time until they got out of school. And then when they were about in middle school, I would say my husband gave me a camera for Christmas in, I think it was 2014, because I've always had a camera with me. I was always taking pictures, all this, that, and the other. Always on auto, never knew what I was doing, wondered why my pictures looked like garbage. So
I got a brand new camera.
Yeah, I got
working.
This great big, beautiful camera with all the bells and whistles. And I was so afraid of it. All those dials, all those buttons.
Yeah.
And for about a year, I was terrified to touch it. So then I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be afraid of a camera, for crying out loud. I'm going to take control. Joined a community. I took tons of classes. And long story short, I've been a part of that for a long time, since I guess 2015. And then, as that evolved, like I said, my kids were in middle school while I was learning how to do photography and all of that. And they were at the age where they wanted nothing to do with being in front of my camera. So naturally I evolved and went to still life, which was flowers. I do a lot of landscape. I do a lot of, we lived in Alaska. So the wildlife and the, just the nature, the scenery was totally my jam. And then I love to cook and bake. So that kind of just naturally evolved into, I would make something and set it up, and I really am drawn toward the rustic, kind of dark, editorial looking photography. So that's kind of my in my heart and in my style. That's me. So that's kind of where that all started. And I kind of dove into that and specialized into that more and more over the years. And that kind of was my thing. So then, trying to make money at that is not easy, because I would pound the pavement, I would hit the emails, I would cold call, I would do everything at restaurants, bakeries, small businesses, trying, hey, I can do this for you, for your website, for your print ads, for your whatever, your social media. And I did get a little bit of business doing that. Which was great. But then we moved, and I'm like, I can't do it again. That was just such a hard thing to start up and build a clientele again. And it was
Yeah.
it was just hard. And I wasn't ready to go there yet. So then literally, I don't know how I saw it or how I stumbled upon Pretty Focused that seemed like there's no way that this is true. That a real thing. That
Everyone says that.
yeah, exactly. And I've heard this the whole time. And I'm like to my husband, I'm like, hey, look at this, and he's like, Amy, come on now. That just sounds, there's no way. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm going to go for it. So that was last spring that I started stalking, I guess is
it the roadmap group?
Yes, that's what I first gained access to. And so I joined that and I'm like, I joined the roadmap. That was so exciting. And, look what I'm doing. And
I love that. I love your enthusiasm.
Yeah, it was so, and it still is. It's so exciting. But then I'm like, I got this. I've been photographing food for years.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I asked the question somewhere in there. I could probably search it and asked, hey, I've been doing food photography for years. Can I just, do I have to do this tier thing and do all the stuff? And you're like, yeah, you do. And yes, you do. Because
let the record show.
Where's my gavel? Bam. It is a completely different kind of photography.
Yeah.
Like I said, I do the shallow depth of field, the wide open aperture, not wide open, but the wider aperture, the moody lighting, the dark wood tones. That's what I was used to. Sure, you do the Brighton, you do some of that,
sure. Yeah,
but
right.
it's a completely different animal than the blogger, that whole market of photography.
Yes.
And
even how you do your shoots, right? Like it's not even just the look, but I guess adding in like tutorial, like it's tutorial based food photography.
Mm-hmm.
So you would have only done like heroes, right? Like
right.
The finished
pretty much. I do my own, I would just for fun, I would set up my different cameras and have one on my mixer, a video, and I would have one set up this way. I put my GoPro in the oven, so it would show me putting the stuff in the oven and taking it out of the oven, and that kind of stuff. Oh no! It was when it was cold, for sure. Absolutely.
Oh, I was like,
no.
Is that how people do that?
It's so when it's cold before it. It takes a ton of pre-planning.
Right.
Come on.
Yeah.
And so when
it's reality,
you put in the dough balls, and then you already have one baked. So then you put it in there and you pull out the baked, so it's just, so anyway, I had done a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, the actual adding of the ingredient in a sequential order, so that someone who was watching and trying to do that would learn and be able to replicate that and have success with the recipe execution. No, I had not had that experience. And yeah, just the lighting's different and, the whole shebang. So that I had the camera basics. I had, or, how to work my camera, the basic composition, the threes, the this, the that, all that stuff.
Well, Amy, I saw somewhere that you have your own intro to food photography, like mini course masterclass, right? So you've even taught this yourself. So this is something you're very proficient in. So I feel like to hear from somebody in your shoes and at your level, to hear that you learned something of how of what you learned, and you saw the difference between like an editorial based photography versus what you want to do for food bloggers.
Completely different market. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, even though a lot, the blogger, this type of market, the pretty focused model is beautiful pictures. There's no doubt beautiful photographs of food. The photography's top notch, but it's a different look than when you look through, some cookbooks that are the more rustic Joanna Gaines cookbooks or whoever you want to look at.
Yep.
It's a totally different look, and learning exactly how to hone into that and be efficient and proficient, and not, because I still find myself moving things a minute centimeter, because just in my brain, that's how I want it to look. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Totally.
And
Yes.
It's just not, I do this and I do this hero shot and this hero shot and I move it here and I move it, it's a fine tune. My hourly wage, and I will say this freely, is not great because I do take my time. And, I know, we beat it in the master class, the business class, time is money. And I don't argue with that a bit, but that's my OCD moment that I just am like that.
Yeah. I understand that. Oh, I understand that completely. So when you were doing, maybe restaurants or more editorial stuff, like I've heard that, it can take like 8 hours to set up a shot. Like you just kind of work all day, or you'll work for a couple of hours to set up a single shot. And so a difference with what we do is we're creating the recipe from start to finish. Nobody cooked for us unless you've got a team of people cooking for you, right? You're the one that cooked, so you're kind of doing everything. Did you ever have those shoots where you were spending hours on like one photo?
I did not do. Probably my most time consuming was when I would go to a couple gentlemen that I worked with in Anchorage at a bakery. They owned a bakery in a mall, like a small storefront bakery. And they did all, he was the chef. He did all the baking. He did all that. So I would get their things and set them up to their specifics as far as the look that they wanted. They would give me boxes and boxes and boxes of goods. I'd go pick them up, and it just was easier for me than dragging all my equipment to their store and bakery, that I would take it home. And then I would do the whole session, product after product after product after product, and then send them proofs basically. And they would say, yes, no, change this, do that. So it was different. I did not ever have the luxury, of a stylist and the cook and the chef and the all that whole, media team kind of thing. I never did do that kind of thing. No.
Okay. So when did you graduate then?
Well, I signed up April 22nd. I have it all written in my calendar. April 22nd, I signed up, and then I basically went hog crazy nonstop. I basically took the month of July off because that's my kids are in town. They're both had graduated college, and when they come in town, everything stops and I drop everything. And so I took July off. So April 22nd, I signed up, and I submitted my portfolio on August 30th. So basically about 3 months of solid work of practice, all my 15 plus practices. And I know I did probably 20. I know I did more than that. At least I didn't maybe share 20, but I would pick and choose. I'm like, oh, I'm not even sharing that one. And
Amy, the fact that you are a professional food photographer and you went the extra mile, I have to commend you there, because it would be so easy. Like your worst shoot, right, is probably a dream shoot for people, and that you're pushing yourself. It's such a testament to you and the caliber of work that you want to do. That is amazing to hear. Yeah. I was expecting like you're going to knock it out to 15, and it's shocking, actually.
Yes, I love that.
That's amazing.
Well, so I hope we have people listening to this now, like who are in there, and just to know, that.
And it's
okay.
You always
It's
have
okay.
that in the back of your head saying, don't be good, be great. Oh, that looks nice, but it could be better. That's
Yeah.
what I always told myself is that, oh, that wasn't the prettiest food, and you don't necessarily
Yeah.
only prepare pretty food because that doesn't happen,
Right.
Right.
and some stuff just isn't pretty, beef and noodles. It's
I
not that
know.
pretty. So it's not, let's see, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Yeah.
And do it right. And
Yes.
You'll be that much more ahead in what you can charge and be comfortably making with a good conscience. I would feel terrible if I produced crap and I was literally charging people $300 or something. I don't know. I personally consciously with I couldn't do that.
Right.
I'd be
I think that you are so right in that we get out and we see number and we see maybe what other people are charging and then just go and try to stick that price tag on our photos without actually analyzing is how is my work. 'Cause I know Tia talks about this in the pricing lesson that there are industry standard, but what is your experience and what is the level that you're at? And that is an equation of pricing that goes into it as well. That's really hard because it's totally subjective. So you have to be really good at analyzing your own work.
Right.
And confident in that.
Exactly. I totally agree. I mean, I think I do some pretty kick butt work, but at the same time, I've only been doing this for like 4 or 5 months now. There's going to be a season and there's going to be a time for me to raise my prices. I feel I need to, I have experience. I have this, I do that, whatever. But I feel like I kind of need to prove myself a little bit first to whoever, my clients and to myself. And then I'll be, maybe I will raise my prices.
Oh, I'm going to go stalk you after. I'm going to stalk you and yell at you if I.
Yeah. So Amy, what has life been like for you since you've graduated then?
What has been really cool is I am, like I said, I'm an empty nester. I don't have kids at home. I have 2 dogs that are like children that hog 80% of my day. I'll be on, and I let them. It's bad. Anyway, I am as busy as I want to be. I could be way busier. So to me, as busy as I want to be, and probably people will spit out their coffee or whatever when they hear, to me, super busy is probably 12 recipes, and I only do recreations.
Okay.
Is probably 12 a month. And I have not even done 12 in a month. My highest has been 10 in 1 month. And because I basically get done in the first half of the month. And then I have 2 weeks off to go out for dinner or I can go and not be, I don't like to be something over me. I want to get it off my plate and be done.
Yes. Agreed. I'm the same way. Yeah.
And then if, I went to Hawaii with my mom this month for a week, and I still did all my work. I did my 8 to 10 a month. Cause that's my goal is 8 to 10 a month. And I have regular clients that I've had since, when did I start taking clients?
Amy's frozen. But we're getting her back. Amy is now my new life's goals.
Oh, you froze. You froze, Amy. How many did you do? How many clients have you had consistently since you graduated?
I posted in the Buyers Club the day or 2 or whatever after I got approved or I passed and graduated. And I probably had, I had a ton of inquiries, ton of them. And then I picked up 4 ladies and I've had them ever since, every month. So we just continually, every first week of the month, they send me their recipes, and I get them to them by the mid or 2/3 of the month. And then I have 1 to 2 weeks off for myself.
So what were you looking for? Were you looking for just income? Were you looking for something to fill your time? Maybe all the above? Were you looking for, like, what was it when you got kids out of the house? So what was it that you were looking for, that you were like pretty focused? I'm pretty sure can fill this for me.
It fills a couple of voids. I'll be straight up. I love having the ability to earn a little bit of money. I'm not saying it's my money, but I can never and have never forever been able to surprise my husband with anything, because he'll see whatever I buy on the credit card statement or whatever, and I can't surprise him. I can't. And I want to be able to do that. And this allows me to do that. I know that sounds kind of stupid, but
no, not at all. I think there are lots of people who can relate. Like, do not diminish this. Yeah.
And it's not like it's my money. Oh my God, this is my money,
Yeah.
But like I said, I've been doing photography for almost 10 years. I have a lot of equipment. I've spent a ton of money, and it's kind of nice to start recouping some of that. I've more than recouped my cost of the class. That's a boom. That was done in the first month or two. So it's nice. If my computer dies, I can buy a computer. If I don't need any more camera bodies, for crying out loud, I have enough cameras. But if the next newest, greatest thing comes out, like I got I'm going to buy a little Polaroid camera just for fun. And I got a 360 Insta 360, which is super fun. All the fun little toys and gadgets. So, I don't feel bad getting that now, and it's freed me up. Okay. So it's done that, and it helps me fulfill a creative void. I get to be creative. I love to bake and cook. And yeah, it gives me something tangible to do, and it gives me validity for what I do create. They're paying me money for what I do, and it looks pretty, and that validates me. You know what I mean? And my abilities and my talent, so.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you think, oh my gosh,
no,
I'm
go ahead.
so sorry. Do you think if you went to the existing 4 bloggers that you work for and asked them if they wanted you to do more work, they would be like, yes, or that you could get more work if you wanted it?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, good.
I be careful what you ask for, because I don't want to be that busy.
Right. Exactly.
I think I would be stressed out.
Yeah. I wanted to say, like, I think it's great that you can choose, right? Like, it's on your terms. Mm-hmm. And if you wanted, if you're like, you know what, I want to take 2 vacations to Hawaii and I'm going to do this, you could just pick up more work, and then, like, there's options there for you.
Yeah. And if I wanted to work all month and gain pretty much double of what I would make for the month, absolutely. I think I honestly believe that I could get enough work from them to do that.
What are the chances that just comparing the 2 different niches of photography, what are the chances that you would have had consistent restaurant clients, maybe like the same people, say you're like on retainer for a restaurant and they just want constant monthly photos? I don't know. Well, like, what are the chances in your experience that you would have 4 consistent clients for the last 5 months? You have 4 clients for the last 5 months. Can that be compared to like the restaurant industry? Does that
I don't think so, because I'm at home, and I can wear sweats and my hair in a ponytail and not wear makeup for days and days and days.
Right.
And, you know, so that's a giant plus. I work from home and, you know, I honestly can't see that. I think once a restaurant would say, shoot their menu, they shot their menu. You know what I mean? Unless they're continually updating and doing that, I can see maybe that being an ongoing thing, or if they have events that but that gets into a whole different genre of photography. If they have events and they want you to come shoot their events, that's a total different ballgame.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the pay would be more just because of the type of photography that it is.
Sure.
Just because of just industry standards in real commercial
right.
photography, I think is a higher bracket, I think, honestly. But
okay, so how hard were you working? Because you said like I was like emailing, I was cold calling people. Did you find like a rhythm? Did you find like a consistent, like how hard was that?
It was crickets most of the time.
Okay.
It was not busy for me at all. It was a lot of that with no return. I don't know if COVID had something probably to do with that for a lot of it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's what they had was online presence and web activity. So
that is true.
It was hard. It was really, really hard to drum that up. And that's not my personality. I'm not a pound on the door, you know, I'll put myself out there, but that's just not me. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Not that I need everything to just come fall in my lap, but that would have been nice. But
right.
Yeah. I feel like that's why I thought Pretty Focus was too good to be true, because you get instant, you know, you it's like, if do A, do B, and then C happens. And it does. And that's what was so like, okay, I'll sink this money. I don't know, you know, and it came to fruition, and it was a breath of fresh air. Really. It was, I'm very thankful. And I just love how it's worked out for me. My kids are super excited for me that, you know, I get to do stuff I love to do, that I'm good at, and, you know, I get rewarded for it. And it's a good feeling. You know, how often does that whole thing come together like that? You're doing stuff you love, you're good at it, and you get rewarded for it. You know, that doesn't happen a lot. All those three things come together and work together.
I feel like, especially in like the online education, like, presence, right?
Don't ask me how much I've spent on some other stuff that I'm like, well, that was a giant waste. Yeah.
That actually was one of my questions. I've been writing down questions for you as you talk. And we often say, like, we don't think there's any other like course or curriculum that exists that sets you up, coaches you, you know, helps you go through your portfolio. And then when you graduate, there's clients for you. And in your travels in the online space, have you without saying names, have you seen anything? Like No. Okay. It's good.
It's like kids pick a college based on like the recruitment success at the end of the, you know, you do your 4-year program and you graduate. What's the recruitment percentage? How many of your graduates get work? You know, that's a factor. And then this is the same thing. I have done so many online things that, you know, take this, I won't say it, take this course and, you know, you'll get all these followers and you get all this work and you'll be able to charge this and you'll be able to do this.
But you have to get all the followers first.
I've done all the things, but it hasn't happened yet. I take the same pictures that are on your Instagram feed. It ain't happened yet. You know, the promise and the actual delivery of the Buyers Club is huge. It's huge.
Yeah.
And I've not seen it anywhere else. And that's, I think, what was so exciting and hard to really grasp and believe, to be honest, that actually happened.
Which is a shame. Like, we
It
should not
is.
be the exception, you know?
It is a shame. And it shouldn't be so hard to believe.
Right.
And it shouldn't be the reason people are so hesitant, but it is.
Yeah.
And I get it, because I was the same way. And my husband was the same way, you know, and he's like, boy, if you can do this for a couple of years, Amy, this is great, you know? And so I'm like,
He's like, what else are you going to surprise me with?
Yeah. I will say we didn't have a Buyers Club because when we started, because I don't even think we knew we could or should. And what happened is, we had a course, right? We had a course and we did coaching because Melody and I can't keep we can't mind our own business. No. So we would offer
I just want to help people.
Right.
I just want to help you.
We were like, people were getting out and flailing and we're like, no. So then we didn't want, and I think, the course, God bless us. We were $97, a course put in together in my basement kind of thing when we started. But we've grown and changed, but we didn't know, right? And then when we saw it, we were like, no, we have to fix this. So it's starting the Buyers Club, it's hiring coaches, it's setting processes. We continually update content when things change, but that's like what should be happening, right. Anyway, my little soapbox, I will get off.
No, I totally get it. Because me, how am I supposed to know who,
right.
I just give me an in and I'll go with it. Give me somewhere to start. And me and everybody else, for the most part, 99% of the people in this, we don't have those resources and those ties or those connections, or even, I didn't even know how this all worked. Even halfway through the course, I'm like, what? They don't do it all themselves. I thought the bloggers did everything.
We did, and we got.
And when I tell people what I do, they're like, "Whoa, wait, what?" Nobody gets it.
Yeah, well, we did do it all, and we got tired after doing it all for a decade, right? Like,
I don't know how you would do it all.
No, it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
We're all like sleep deprived and just.
Because it took you about a decade to start making
real money. And now I have like 12, 13 people who regularly work for me, plus a few floating photographers. Like, it's a whole different ballgame. And the internet so people think of a food blogger as, a woman in 2010 who was making recipes for her family and photographing, which it was, but we're in 13 years later, like, it's really changed, and most people don't care. They just want the recipe. Whereas in 2010, they were following a person, right? Like a Joanna Gaines type, but on a smaller level. Right. I had a couple more questions.
The pioneer woman or whatever.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Yep. So when people often ask us the question, what's the best thing I can do to stand out when I graduate? And we answer with, perfect your skill and have the best portfolio you can absolutely have, and the work will come to you. And it seemed like your experience has been a reflection of that, but I'd love to know about how, did you do anything to stand out in the Buyers Club? Like, what was the process like for you?
I just did what everybody else was doing. Right. That time from when I submitted my portfolio like on August 30th, and then it takes X number of days or whatever. So even up to that point, here and there, I was like freaking out with all the business part of it, because you need to set up the past gallery or however you're going to present your portfolio. Or I have a website, but I didn't want to do it on my website. And, you got to set up how you're going to deliver your deliverables. If you want to do any of the automation, how are you going to do your invoices? How are you going to, I had this whole workflow thing. Hold on. I actually wrote it down. I had it sticking on my thing for the longest time. Of progression of, I need to post in the Buyers Club. I need to respond if I'm available, if they're ideal or non-ideal. Do we want to do a trial? I have this whole list of stuff.
Oh my God.
That's gold. That's gold, Amy. I love it.
So that was rocking my whole world big time. And I have a couple friends in the Pretty Focus community that, I bug the crap out of them. I know, asking, what do I do? What do I do? And so you're making graphics. I use Canva, making all my graphics that I was going to post in the Buyers Club and this, that, and the other. And, make those pretty, spend some time and make those eye-catching. And,
but Amy, how many times did you have to post in the group to get work?
Once.
I was going to say, because I'm scrolling right now and I see one post from you.
Did you post or was it just your grad announcement?
No, I actually did a post.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You have a beautiful
I did a post because then I put my links and all my stuff. If they wanted to inquire, then they got this thing sent to them, and I honestly can't remember how I did all that, but it worked. And people got an inquiry thing and I would get a ping that I got an inquiry and then I'd send them this other stuff. And
I love it. So how did you whittle it down to 4 bloggers? Like, how did that work?
I looked at, it was mutual. They wanted to work. They're like, oh, I love your style and your work. And it, and then I looked at their, before I even said anything back to them at all. Mm-hmm. I looked them up and I looked up their blog. I looked up their website. I looked up whatever they had, however I could find them. And I'm like, I think, I like what they do. I like how their stuff looks. I think I could be compatible. So that's kind of how they inquired. I kind of weeded out and did a little selective looking myself. And then whoever I wanted to potentially work with or do a trial with, that's who I responded back to. And then they responded back because then that's when I sent them my pricing sheet. And then those people who responded back to my pricing sheet were like, okay. And then once I got as many as I wanted, I was done because I didn't want to be any busier than that.
Yeah.
Did anyone question your prices?
Nope.
Yes. Wow. You found your ideal 4. Like,
I did.
Wow.
I did. Knock on wood.
Yes. That's what we say to people. Like, when you're going to find like a top tier client, it is someone who's going to give you the amount of work you need and not cause any trouble and work you love and never question your prices, right? Like, that's amazing. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So I have 2 more questions.
Yeah, keep going.
Melody. I was like, Melody, I won't stay on script. So you have the career before Pretty Focus. You have the career when people come to us that they think they want, right? They want to be a food photographer. They want to work for restaurants, right? Melody, you probably hear it more than I do. Like, I don't know. Do people look down on photographing for bloggers? Maybe a little bit, right? But just because of society. And would you?
Well, they don't know if it's.
They don't even know, right? Like, yeah. Well, they think it's some woman working in her house, like just photographing food and not running a small business, right?
Yeah.
So, what would you say are like what made you move past restaurant photography? Like, what were the things that made this so attractive
Did
for
you
you?
say 3 things?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I'll come up with 3, but the fact that I could work in my home is huge.
Yeah.
I'm a homebody. I do love to go on vacation and stuff. I hate the travel part. Traveling is terrible, but being somewhere fun and away from home is great. But I get to work out of my house. Other than kind of fitting the person's style, it's my call. And I'm following recipe execution, all that stuff.
Right.
But as long as I'm in the parameters of what these people filled out on their questionnaire, that they like whatever styling boards, linens, props, blah, 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 I get creative control. And, no one's ever said, oh, I don't like this, reshoot it,
Right.
so it's like I said, it fills that creative drive in me.
Yeah.
And you get food paid for, that's a nice perk.
Do you eat the food that you guys photograph? Some of it?
Some of it. I'm up to my eyeballs in quick breads. Cake. I love making cakes. That's probably one of my favorite things to do is make a layer cake, but I'm caked out, man. I made myself a birthday cake. I haven't even decorated it yet completely because I can't take more cake.
Wait, you made yourself a birthday cake? Is that what you just said?
Yes.
When's your birthday?
I'm blurry.
When's your birthday?
It was last Saturday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
Well,
But it's just sitting there. You're like, bah.
It's in my freezer. It's crumb coated, and I have all these ideas of how I'm gonna. I know what it's gonna look like, but it just hasn't got there yet.
Right.
So,
I love it. You'll make sure you take a picture
in a week or so.
What do you do
I'll share
with
it.
the food? Yeah. What do you do with the food you guys make?
My neighbor is really happy with me. They enjoy. I just dropped off a loaf of almond poppy seed bread yesterday. She's super happy.
Wow.
She was under the weather and she was happy to have that for breakfast this morning.
Aww.
Let's see what else. I have some pesto Parmesan chicken in my fridge right now that I'll probably eat on for the next few days. My husband's going to be out of town, so that's going to be my sustenance for the next several days, which is great.
Oh, that's so awesome.
But some of it, it won't freeze.
Right.
Like there's some dips and stuff like that I just don't, I don't partake in a
Well,
lot of
it's
that.
like
I don't eat a ton of
sometimes,
sweets.
right. Yeah.
It's been played with,
Yeah.
right? You're like, oh, here, neighbor, take my casserole that's been mutilated. So
yeah, that's what I tell I'm like, it's all sliced up, but I promise it's clean and it hasn't been licked or anything like that, so it's all good.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. So
let's see. Did I answer that question?
Yes, I think you did. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was the flexibility. You love being at home, staying in your pajamas, and then
Valuing your work. Yeah.
You're like,
which I love.
Yeah.
I think the last question, I'll let other people ask questions, is I ask because we've never had someone who came in as a professional food. The closest is probably Amy, who was food photographer for magazines, right, in England. But we've never had an American professional food photographer. And like the style in 2023 for food blogging is much different than the style for editorial food photography. And the reason I attributed it to is that the food needs to stand out because you need to get a reaction from people to like stop what they're doing, click, like those types of things. So the food has to be the most prominent thing. And my presumption in editorial photography is that, a cupcake and a spoon and the linen and everything almost have equal weighting because you're creating a picture, and not that the food is the major thing.
You're creating a mood and a scene.
Right. So is that like what's the kind of the function of it versus in food blog photography where we want the food to be the start of the show and then like to really pop and then everything else to just support it. Like, is there a difference to how you think about styling and all those things now?
Yeah, I totally, yeah. Just like you said, the focus, you're doing a lot more, rarely do I use my macro lens in, the more moody, the editorial looking stuff,
Mhm.
as far as, choice of lens, focal length. I don't use my macro lens for like hero shots in my own work because I do want more of the scene. I use probably at least a 50 or sometimes an 80. Not quite my 85, but I rarely use a 35 just because of the distortion and all that stuff. But a 50 is a good length because you get some scene, you get
Yep.
the food, but yeah, the focus is definitely not the food product or whatever you made. It's more of a, like I said, the mood, the scene, the lighting plays a big part of it. Way more shadows, way more moodiness in general.
So
And you're telling way more of a story, if you will, with that than you are showcasing the actual food product that you want. Like when I tell people what I do, they're like, they don't get it. And I'm like, okay, say you're looking up, and if it's a guy, I say you're looking up grilling a filet.
Right.
When you look that up and you click it, you put in Google recipe for a filet. How long do I cook a filet? How do I grill a filet? When you do that and pictures come up, what are you going to click on? You're going to click on the juiciest, most awesomest looking filet that you've ever seen. And you're going to follow that. I said, that's what I'm trying to create, that picture for the person who posted that recipe, so that you click on it and they're like, oh, then they totally get it.
Yeah.
And
that's so funny. Yeah.
It's an easy, simple way to get people to understand.
Yeah. No, that's especially your job as a food blog photographer. So what's the emotion or the action you want to elicit when you're doing food photography where you're creating this scene? Like what is it that you want the person looking at it? Is it, oh, that's beautiful? Like I just, because as a food blogger, I want people to go, oh my gosh, that's yummy. I need to go find
I got to make that right now.
Right. Let me go see if I have the ingredient. Like that is
right.
So when it's that scene, is it you just want them to admire it, like as a work of art?
Like if it's more of a fine art type of thing. I don't do it. So on Instagram, people go, oh my God, that's so pretty. It just, because food for so many people is a memory or an emotion or a family tradition or a feeling. And that's kind of what, nobody else may get it, but that's what I'm trying to evoke or present in my photography or in my work that I do for myself. And maybe that will evoke something when someone sees that. They're like, oh my God, my family did that one time. Or, that reminds me of my grandma's whatever, or my, or, whatever, or that reminds me of a painting that I saw and I really admired or something, I don't know. It's kind of a connection to a different emotion or feeling or whatever.
And I can see that skill in your work. Like when I look at it, there's a lot of that there. It's just that you never lose sight of the fact that the food is the focus, right? But you can still see the love and the art that you put into it. Yeah. So congratulations. You're like, you're doing great.
No, that's I ask my people my clients when I deliver every time, I'm like, tell me. I don't need you to slap me on the back and say how pretty things are. I need your feedback, your honest to goodness feedback of, can I make this better? Am I getting across? Is this what you want to see? You know, is this what you want to present? So,
Boy, they are
I
never
hope
going to
that
let go of you.
Like, you're hired.
You're yeah.
Well, I hope it continues. It feels like almost too good to be true that things continue. You know, each month, I'll run to my husband. I'm like, hey, they want me to work this week, or you know, they want me again this month. You know, I'll get all excited.
I'm hoping one of them
happy
drop
that they
you,
want me
and
back.
I'll be like, oh, Amy, come over here.
Oh gosh. So I have a question for you, and then we're going to get into some of the questions that some students have asked. Is how would you describe Pretty Focused? Or if somebody wants to know about Pretty Focused and they're like, what's Pretty Focused? Like, what would you tell them?
Okay. It's okay. I'm going to start it by saying it's a lot of work. It is not even I know a lot, you know, I know my camera, I know how things work. I know a lot of photography, compositional foundation. I've been around cameras for a long time, and I've done a lot of food stuff. I feel like I have a grasp on that. I feel like I can bake and cook really well. I make pretty food, but it still was a ton of work. So don't go in thinking, I can make a cheeseburger or what, you know, just be prepared to work hard. But if it's something that you are passionate about and love to do, it won't feel like work.
Yeah.
And there is such a reward at the end of it that will bring you self-satisfaction, so much growth in so many ways. Because I know when I know my camera here at the beginning of this thing didn't work good, but when I tackle something technological, or, you know, I jump over a hurdle and I reach a goal, no matter what I'm like, good job. You know, I did that, you know, and to attain every time you submit a practice session, I did that, you know, and it's another step towards that goal. So what is Pretty Focused? It's a great way to, I feel like if you have any bit of creativity in you, if you're interested in cameras and photography and learning that, because there's some technical learning and knowledge that has to happen. But it's been proven time and time and time again. I've never picked up a camera. I can't do this. Oh yeah, you can. How many people have done that? Who cares if you've had a camera experience?
Right.
It's all learnable. It's all things, you know, the new thing that you put in the course, the new updated cheat sheets and stuff are fantastic. And, you know, it's going to take some time and some work, but anybody can do it. And I do think you do, however, need to have a little bit of creativity and artistic in you. And it's just a way to have some freedom in your work, in your lifestyle, in your making some money. I think you can, if you want to be busy, if you are a busy kind of person, you want to be busy. I mean, yeah, I see how people make tons of money doing this. I don't want to be that busy personally. That's not my mojo at all.
I love that, because we all have a different idea of what success looks like and what we want for our own lives. And so you can't even start to compare. You just have to know what you want for your life. Like, cause we have those who are like, they're going after 6 figures and they've got big goals, and that is great. And we have others who are like, I want to 8 to 10 a month is my sweet spot. That's so smart, because I think a lot of grads come out the gate and they're like, oh my gosh, this is real. I just made so much money. And they don't know they just
when to say no.
they
right?
don't know when to say no. And so it's like
Yeah.
6 months in and they're like, okay, something's got to give.
I
And they
know.
just,
Yep.
because it just all happens so fast. So I love that you just took that. I know what I want. And you got it. Like you
And I
said
have said
earlier.
no. I've turned people away.
Yeah.
I said,
There's,
no, I'm
doesn't
as
it feel
busy as
so
I can
good?
be right now.
It
Yeah.
feels so good
Yes.
to say no and
Yep.
to not feel bad about it. Right.
Yep.
That's very freeing.
This fits so many. It's not a, let's see, is it a one size fits all? Kinda. Is that how I want to say that? Is that it can, like you said,
choose your own
you can do
adventure.
8 to 10, you can do 30 or
Yeah.
more. Yeah, you can,
Yeah.
it's the whole spectrum of busyness, workflow, work schedule.
Yep.
The limit is you.
Yep.
So
That's great. Well, we're going to dive into
Or not.
yeah. We're going to dive into some of the questions that people have for us. Lenore wants to know what camera you shoot with.
I'm kind of a spoiled brat, but I will say it out loud. I have 3 cameras that are continually in my setup. I have a little room that I can shut the door. I've got my own little pantry. I've got a pretty sweet setup. So I've got a Canon 5D Mark IV that I have that does my portrait oriented shots. Okay. I have a Canon R5 that does some overhead. So I have 2 C stands with 2 cameras looking down. One does horizontal, one does vertical. And then I have another Mark IV on a tripod that does my macro heroes.
Oh, girl!
So
you just got.
They're all hooked up to a tether cord. Yep. And I just unplug and plug my tether cords, and I see what I'm doing, and I'm moving, click, 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 and
you're like it's like a symphony.
Pretty sweet.
It's a symphony for you. That's amazing. Goals.
And it's exhausting. I don't know how people go up and down ladders. I would have said, I'm done a long time ago.
Yeah. So how long do your shoots take? And what practices have led to efficiency? 3 cameras would be one of those things, right?
Yeah. Having a setup that I don't have to go up and down ladders. And I will say artificial light is a very helpful thing. I was I have all kinds of artificial light stuff, but they're more strobe and flash. I did not have any continuous light at all until this all started. I got into this and I'm like, the weather is so unpredictable. The white, the expo disc was making me crazy. I would forget to do it. And then I'd pay for it later in processing. And so it's doable, but again, I'm all about convenience. I'll spend the money and I'll make it back later, but I will pay for convenience. And that was a big thing for me. So how long do my shoots take? On a great day that I can do everything in one day, because I kind of like to split things up and do my process. Like if I have to bake a cake, I'll do the process and prepare it and bake it. And then I will wrap it, whatever, and then I'll pick it back up the next morning. So that's a really hard way to kind of gauge the hours. But like yesterday, I did one full the whole time. I want to say I started after lunch, which is at around noon, and I was done by 4. Oh, so I would say 3.5 hours, maybe.
Oh gosh, yeah. I was waiting for the 8 hours because you said you were.
Oh no.
I think that's, you're getting close to like really efficient.
And it was easy. It wasn't a baking one where I had to let stuff bake and cool and this and that, and all that. It was a pretty quick wham bam kind of thing. So it just, a lot of it depends on the subject itself, on the recipe.
Right. Yeah. Do you charge more if it's super long to do?
No. And No,
there's a
but
there's a make.
Don't tell
making
Tia.
a-
Do not tell
there's
Tia.
been times that I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
what am I doing? You
Yeah.
know, some of these I've done 3 or 4 layer cakes, and there's been times that I'm like,
Yeah.
never
Your-
again, you
yeah,
know, kind
your
of thing. And
bloggers will not think twice about you charging more if you have people who are just consistently giving you work. They'll be like, oh, absolutely, just go do it. I don't want to make a layer cake. You'll be fine. And you charge more you charge ingredients extra, right?
yeah.
Okay. Good.
Yep.
I was about to.
Yep.
So, what is your favorite food or dish to photograph?
My favorite food or dish. I love doing sweets. I love doing, but and I've made this observation lately because I've done a little more food, like real food, compared to the baked goods, which were tons in the winter, Christmassy, November, December time. I love doing the cakes and the cookie. I love doing cookies. Those are super easy, but the like cakes, they take a long time, but I love doing those. That's probably one of my favorite things to do.
I mean, you had a lot
yeah.
of really great baked goods in your portfolio that were fun to look at.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, the cupcakes are probably one of my very favorite. The pink cupcakes are probably my favorite.
Yes.
One of my
Mine
favorite
too.
things.
Yes, they're so cute.
Just were pretty. They turned out so pretty.
Did you do those for a client? Or
No.
like, did somebody sell those? Or
No.
I'm sorry, did somebody buy those from you when you graduated? No? Okay. I love those.
Nope.
I was looking at the savory foods because those are often hard to make look amazing, and your Tuscan chicken looks great. So it's really good.
Oh, thank you.
What is one key lesson that you can share to help students on their pretty focused journey?
Let's see. I wrote down a few things that I was thinking of earlier. What did I write them on? I don't know where it went. Okay, I will say there's a few things that I thought about, key things that just in general, not necessarily super duper like, oh my God, these are, but if you can, I would invest when and if you can in the artificial light. There's a great master class. I think it's included now in the whole course. Okay.
If they enroll this starting this month.
Oh,
that's a new thing.
Incentive people, incentive.
No.
It's so nice to be at your leisure when you shoot and not be, there's so many other factors that you're trying to remember. You're trying to remember focal length, shutter speed, ISO, focal distance. You're trying to remember the triangle. You're trying to remember 150 things. And then a cloud goes by and blocks the sun, and you forgot to expo, or you forgot to change your settings because now it's darker. And, you know, it's just another thing. And it's another big thing, because then that affects your processing time, your post-processing time in Lightroom. It affects so many things. And you want your shoots to be consistent. You want things to be, you know, I shot this 4 days ago, but I shot this today and they look exactly the same, you know,
that's great.
In the style or whatever.
Right.
So artificial light, I think, is key. Natural light can work, but I think your life will be much easier if you can take some form or fashion of artificial light. One other thing that I have sworn by, because I've gotten bitten by it once, is when and if you can afford a camera that has dual card slots, I would get one of those, simply because, and I have done this, when my cameras are up or whatever, or I'm moving around and I'm doing this, how many times, I can't tell you how many times I've bumped my touch screen, or I've bumped a setting button, or I've done something. and my in my camera, the way my files are saved gets altered. So like
Oh no.
I usually do, one of my cards is RAW, one of them is the highest quality JPEG. So somehow at one point it got all convoluted, and my RAW files were not saving as RAW, they were saving as a very low quality JPEG.
Oh no.
But my other card was still saving the highest quality JPEG, which is just one teeny tiny step below RAW. So
Okay.
when I uploaded them, I'm like, oh my God, these look like garbage. You know, they look terrible.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
And that was like 3 days ago. It was some cake or something big that I'm like, shoot me now, because I can't
Oh.
redo. I have to remake a
That's
cake.
so
You're kidding me.
crazy.
But I got my other card out, and there they were. There I had that backup of
Yeah.
quality files, and that saved my hiney for about 4 shoots that were on that card, because I had
Wow.
not taken, I didn't know that happened. I didn't know it happened, and it was just something that fluke happened. I touched my touch screen, I turned it, something happened, and so dual card slots if you can on a camera, that someday, if you can afford that, I would do that. And I know a lot of them do. Like I said, I shoot with a Canon. I know my Canon Mark IV does. I have an old D70. I don't think it has dual slots. So, but that's like almost 10 years old. But I think a lot of them these days do have dual card slots. And always check your settings. I know Redonda shows, you know, always check for level, always check for plumb, square, level, all that stuff. Also check your settings, get in your menu and make sure that you're saving your files properly, that they're both being saved to the card, that the read back file is the one that you want to read back when you look at the back of the camera and you see what you just shot. You know, don't have a panic attack because it's on the other card. You want to see it on this card or whatever. I know that sounds like gibberish to many, but you'll figure it out and you'll understand what I'm talking about when the time comes, when you get to that point. But anything else that I could suggest is be gracious with yourself, give yourself time. Like I said, it's not a sprint, it is a marathon, and you'll be so much better for it if you just slow down a little bit and take your time and do it right. Like they say, you know, don't go for good, go for great. And I know I've seen some of the gals that are in there now. They've redone some of their portfolio contenders that they started early on. At this point, when they're done with their 14, 15 plus shoots, they redo some of those because they're like, I have grown so much. And there's a tangible, noticeable difference in my quality of work at this point. And so, you know, take that extra moment, take that extra step, and do it right. You'll be so much more glad for it. You'll feel so much more better about your work as a whole. At least I know I did. That's just, you know, if you have that kind of personality trait, go for it and do it right. Take the time, take the extra effort, and you know, if you're going to put yourself out there, put out the absolute best that you can do and be.
That's so good.
I love it.
You'll be so much better and glad for it.
So we have time just for one more question. I'm not sure who asked this one. What is the most special part of Pretty Focus for you? Like, was it the training, the community?
I think it's a great mix of all it. I will say that just, I am not as active in the community as I wish I was, because I'll go a few days and I'll be like, oh my God, I haven't even checked in. And that's the case with a few other things that I'm involved in heavily and that I'm responsible for, that I am not even as present as I should be. But the community, the coaches here in this group, I have to say, are so dedicated and so there for you in so many ways that I know, people have had some things happen in their lives, and it's not just, oh, that's too bad. They're truly, truly invested in you as a person and in your work, and they want to see you succeed. You like to feel like you're not just a number or a credit card payment to these people, and you're not. And that's what's so wonderful is they are so invested in seeing you succeed. And it's so refreshing. And it's like, is this for real? It's another, is this for real moment?
Right.
That, it's pretty special in a lot of ways. You get work when you're done, you get exposure, you get all these benefits, but then you also have a group of friends and people who truly give a rip about you and your life and your success. And, and it's quite refreshing, and it's very welcome in this world, especially now. And I appreciate it very, very, very much. And the training is great, for this specific bit of the market in the world, the internet world, and the food photography part of it. This is pretty valuable training, and it's very market specific. And I like that it's that way, because that's what I'm here for. That's what this is. And I'm so thrilled that it delivered. In many ways. I mean, so it's just, it's, tell your husbands it's real. It's real.
Your mom.
It actually, it can happen. It can happen. It just doesn't plop in your lap and happen.
Yeah.
You got to work, you can make it happen. But it's there. It's there for the asking and for the taking, and make it happen. Make it happen.
Yeah. I love that.
Me too.
I love it so much. Thank you so much for talking with us tonight, Amy. And it was so fun to hear what you were doing before Pretty Focused, and even after, and then how you've been able to fit it into your life and make it work for you instead of you working your tail off, and you feel like you have a really good balance. I love that so much. And we're so thankful that you joined Pretty Focused. It was such an honor knowing. I am too. It was such an honor whenever you joined. I remember being very, very excited whenever I saw that you joined. And so we're glad that you're part of the community. We're so thrilled that you're a grad, and just thank you so much for being here with us tonight. So if you guys have any questions, for Amy, she's in the group, so feel free to tag her, and she will, or Stephanie and I, and we can follow up with her on those questions. So thank you for joining us. We love you guys. We'll talk to you later.